Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Ruben, Studdard, and Clay Aiken bring their American Idol 20th anniversary tour to Bethesda Theater in Bethesda, Maryland on Monday, January 22nd. They join me to reflect on their incredible journey following Kelly Clarkson's win in Season 1 to help American Idol skyrocket into a TV ratings juggernaut, and why they're still friends 20 years later. Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Good to be here.
Now, the reason we're doing this is the whole tour here is a 20th anniversary tour, obviously, of when you two met in Season 2 of American Idol. I guess that was 2003. So, yeah, 03 or 2023, 2024. Well, yeah, there we go. 20 years.
We started the tour in 2023. It was a 20th anniversary tour when it started. Now it's just a 20th anniversary plus tour.
It's carrying over into this year. That's awesome.
20 anniversary in addition
yes.
to
sorry 2024, right, Ruben?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, yeah, let's start there. I mean, how did you all I assume you've stayed in touch over these 20 years, but how did you connect finally here to be like, you know what, hey, oh my gosh, an anniversary year is coming up, let's do a tour?
I mean, we, again, like you said, we have more than kept in touch. We are like, we are family. So we, talk regularly. Like it surprises a lot of people to know that we have remained friends and brothers over the past 20 years. But yeah, we talk more than just once every 7 months. So
we also toured together in 2010. Yeah, we did a tour together and we did a Broadway show together in 2018. So we've stayed. I've gotten on stage more with Ruben in the last 10 years than I have. Period.
Right. Well, it's kind of a package deal. You're both sides of that same coin, I mean, we all, loved your music and your voices at the same time, and it's just carried on it's hard to believe 20 years. But what sort of stuff we don't want to give away the whole set list, but what songs, let's tease a little bit. What are we going to hear in here? Is it stuff from, the show, like Ruben's Flying Without Wings or Clay's This Is the Night, or do we add in some stuff, maybe a little bit of, If I Was Invisible,
Well, listen, it's definitely a celebration, and what we celebrate are the people and the voices that gave us the chance to perform on the show. So we talk about the judges and the guest judges and everything, and we sing songs that are a part of that experience.
Yeah, we very specifically wanted to not make it about here's Ruben album songs, here's Clay album songs, and we are a package deal in this show. It says Ruben and Clay on the back wall, it says Ruben and Clay on the ticket, and it's Ruben and Clay on the stage almost the entire time. I mean, obviously, we couldn't do a show where about American Idol without Ruben doing Flying Without Wings or Superstar also, and I'll do Bridge Over Troubled Water, but when we were on the show, we did medleys together as a group. We sang duets. That's what we're trying to do, is recreate 2003. So the set list, like Ruben said, really sort of celebrates the year and the people we worked with. There's music by some folks who were guests on our season, that type of stuff. Everything you can sing along to.
Oh, so it all harks back to that season. Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, hey, real quick, remind us what you were both doing before you auditioned to American Idol. They always do those cool clip packages of what you were doing during the actual show and back
before American Idol. I was working at a place called Alabama Clinical School, which is a school for juvenile delinquents.
Nice.
And,
nice way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's the truth of the matter. That's where I was working. Yeah,
I was not doing too much, just completely dissimilar. I was working as a special educator in kids with autism and one-on-one work with some respite work with some young teenagers with autism also. So we both have a passion for working with young people.
Yeah. Absolutely. And had you both watched Season 1? Did you watch Kelly Clarkson win? And because that was that whole phenomenon. Then by the time Season 2 arrived, when both of you auditioned, then it was the top show in America.
I'll admit, I watched Kelly's finale, and I watched maybe one episode of that show prior to that finale.
I think I saw the episode that Tamira Gray got cut from, and I was like, oh, well, this show's full of crap. You cut Tamira Gray, it can't be that good. And then I did watch the finale also, or a little bit of it. I think I was flipping through channels and saw a little bit of it, so I saw the end. But 9 million people watched that season, and I think it certainly gave the show enough of a rating to get people to renew it for a second season. We did not realize watching that season, even those few episodes that we watched, we did not realize that it would be 40 million when we were on it.
Oh yeah, I think I was the same way as both of you. Actually, I think I caught like the tail end of that season one. I remember watching Kelly win. But yeah, but you two, your season was like many Americans. That was my first time watching, the whole season start to finish, and it was a ratings bonanza. It's hard to, when people watch these American Idol and The Voice and everything nowadays, they're still talented singers, but it's hard for young kids to really realize how big, pre-social media, beginning of the internet, or how big American Idol really was back when you all were on it. So, what was that atmosphere? What were the judges like? Simon, Paula, Randy. I mean, I guess Paula was well known, but no one knew Simon Cowell at that point, and Randy, most people probably didn't know him either, other than Journey. But like, what was it like? The judges, as they were just on the cusp of that meteoric where everybody knew them.
I think that, I mean, it probably felt the way that it seemed on television, the same way it felt in studio. Like we were a part of their, I mean, Paula was a mega star before she was on the show, but Randy and Simon in particular became the juggernauts that they are today, while I believe they were judging our season. Like we really saw that. We really saw the excitement for, when they would walk into the room, how it shifted as the season went on. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that was great to experience.
And Ryan Seacrest too, right, Clay? Ryan Seacrest too. He co-hosted the first year.
He co-hosted the first year. He hosted our year. Ryan has never been what's wild to me, and I hate even saying it out loud again. Ryan's always been close to our age. Ryan was only a few years older than us. I think he was 28 when we were 24, so he's not much older than we are. What blows my mind is that we are today older than Simon was when he was judging us, and that just makes me want to crawl in a hole somewhere.
That feels absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, he became this. I mean, Simon is, I think, in many ways, Simon is a huge part of the reason that show became the huge hit that it was and remains, because people had to tune in initially. I mean, I like to believe that they were tuning in at the end for Ruben and I, but at the very beginning, they were certainly tuning in to see what that mean British judge was going to say to people. It was such a different thing that American audiences had never seen before, and so people were tuning in for Simon, and he earned in many ways his place in the pantheon of TV stars.
Absolutely. As did Seacrest. I mean, we couldn't have predicted that he would become the hardest working man in the show. I mean, he's basically Dick Clark, Casey Kasem, and Regis Philbin all in the same. He has all their jobs now. It's insane.
Ruben and I might have been able to predict that. I mean, there was something about Ryan even back then that you could just. I mean, yeah, Idol was his only show at that when we were on it, but he just has a talent that is obvious the minute you're around him. It's just so obvious that he was born to do what he does.
And it's so funny. I didn't realize that he had a radio show, Clay, until after the show was over with. And I was like, hold on, you do this every day in addition to being with us every day.
The only reason I remember that, right, Ruben, is I don't know if you remember the gate that we had a gate to get to our house. And the gate code was 9870 because of his radio station at the time. That's the only reason I knew he was on the radio, because they told me, just remember it's Ryan's radio station. And I went, his what? Oh, right. Yes, the same thing. We didn't know, but he was a radio guy in LA and he blew up. He's certainly earned it, because there's no one who can do it the way he does it.
Oh, it's like, where do you find the time in the day? He must not sleep. It's crazy. But hey, we've spent a lot of time, doting on the judges and Seacrest hosting and everything. But how about the performers? Like you said, I like to believe a lot of people tuned in because of your two voices. We're powerhouses. Well, I'll give you one at a time. So, Ruben, what was your favorite performance during that season? Like, I remember you doing Luther's A House Is Not a Home and a bunch of big ones. But what was your favorite?
I would have to say my favorite performance was probably A Whole New World. I do it on this show that we do now, and Well, I don't. I sing it, in the early show meet and greets.
Okay.
But it was definitely one of my favorite
Tell him
performances.
why. Go ahead. Tell him
Tell
why.
me why.
I mean, it was just,
Because-
it was just a great performance. I mean, well, and then Gladys Knight kind of named me the Velvet Teddy Bear that day, so that
That's it.
That's it.
You
That's
got
why.
you got pipped. Oh, and by the way, before I get to Clay's answer, Ruben, when you're at the Bethesda Theater for this show, you might want to say on stage that the show directly following your guys a couple of days later is Peebo Bryson is coming. So there you
okay.
go. There's
Oh,
your
I might
you
stick
can sing a
around.
whole new world and tee it up for him.
all right,
You can do the next show yourself. I want to watch Peebo.
right.
All right, Clay. You've had a couple seconds to think about it. What was your favorite from that?
I will say, I mean, I have to be. It's not easy to do,
Yeah.
but I liked Bridge only because most every week we got to pick our own songs. Ruben picked A Whole New World for himself that week. I picked my song almost every week. It wasn't, ironically, until the last 2 weeks of the show that we no longer got to choose our own songs. And that became a little more stressful because Ruben and I had always chosen songs we already knew. That was part of our philosophy going into each week. Choose something you already know, do it because you can do it well. Don't try to learn something in a week. And in the last 2 weeks, they handed us songs and we had to learn them. Now, I got sort of lucky because Bridge Over Troubled Water was a song that I had sung in my high school choir not too many years prior to that. And there was this arrangement of it that I really liked that the choir did. And so I called my choir teacher up and said, listen, can you send us a copy of that arrangement? Because I want to redo it on the show. So I I guess that's probably the one I am most proud of, simply because it was one that I didn't get to choose, but we had to come up with a creative way to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's Simon and Garfunkel. It's a masterpiece song. But are you saying that the choir arrangement was the one? Because I'll never forget how you arranged those final notes. The ease your mind,
Yeah,
you take
you
off. It
can't.
soars.
I
So
can't
was
take
that
credit.
that?
Can't take credit for it. I can't take credit for it at all. It was the one that we did in choir. So
Great.
Mr. Kirby Shaw gets all the credit for that.
And what did you each, real quick, think about the quote coronation songs? I guess what was Flying Without Wings was Ruben's, and then Clay's was yours was This Is the Night, right? They wrote two, and then I guess whoever won would become. But they both became radio singles after that. So what did you
I
think
mean,
of that?
I loved mine, and part and parcel because getting the opportunity to work with Babyface was just, I couldn't believe I was actually in the studio with him.
Wow.
And so that's when I knew that process was like really real, like
Yeah.
what is happening right now. And and it just really changed my perspective of where this thing was headed for me. Like, after doing that song, so I'll always have a fond memory of recording and singing Flying Without Wings.
Yeah.
I like Ruben's better.
If they gave you that one, would you have won? You never.
No, and it's not for that reason. I think just Ruben's Ruben's is. I love This Is the Night. I pick on it a lot. It is very high.
Yeah.
And it was a song that was certainly made in a studio, made in a factory. It's a factory built song. Right. Flying Without Wings just to me defines the year. And for the longest time, Ruben sings it every night, and I get through it every night perfectly fine now. But for the longest time, whenever he would sing it, I'd get teary because it is the theme song to that season for me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you both sing those songs on that finale. What's that moment like? You've been asked it a million times, but I have to. It would be derelict of duty if I don't ask. Close your eyes and try to remember that moment when they say the winner. And after so many texts and calls in votes, crazy to think we were texting votes. And the winner is Ruben Studdard. What's it like in that moment?
It is surreal, honestly. Just the moment was a moment of completion for I think for the both of us. We endured a lot of things that nobody really gets the opportunity to see. Like, our work schedule was that of crazy people. I mean, 16 17-hour days every day for 6 months to get to a place where he and I could stand next to one another and say, you know what, we made it to the end of this thing. Nobody else can say that they made it to this point. I was thrilled to hear my name called, but I was also even more thrilled to know that I had completed a task that I set out to complete with one of my best friends in the world.
Nice.
You know, I think a lot of people expect there to be some sort of. It's weird. Ruben and I went back to the finale of the Fox finale, Fox version of the show, and we would talk to other winners or runners up who had not talked to their winner or runner up in several years,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was just shocking to both of us that how could you go through that experience and not be tight with that person, be very good friends with them. And I think it had in something to do with the fact that we didn't know going into the show in the same way that subsequent seasons did. We didn't know what the stakes were. When Fantasia and Diana DeGarmo auditioned for Idol season 3, they had seen Kelly have a platinum selling album. They had seen my record and Ruben's record both come out and be successful. So they knew the day they showed up for those auditions in those first days what Idol could do. We had no idea. So we went into it wanting to be successful in it, wanting to have an album out of it, but not really having any sort of sense of competition. I obviously stood there that night and certainly would have loved for my name to be called, but I was what could be better? Only thing that was the only thing that could be better than watching my best friend win American Idol.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here standing there watching someone who I really love win something and he's happy. And I honestly, if I put myself back there in that moment, I cannot remember feeling even a bit of disappointment. I think maybe the next day I might have thought, well, damn. But in that moment, I didn't feel it. I was just
Right.
like Ruben said, I was, okay, this is over. I get to go home and sleep, I thought, but we
Absolutely.
didn't.
That's great. Well, I want to follow up on that real quick. And Ruben, I want to I'm sure you have a brotherhood and sisterhood with your fellow winners over the years too. I'll get to that in a second, but I want to follow up on what Clay said. So you said a moment of disappointment, but quickly get over that, because I mean, if you watch the show go on, some of the most famous figures were the runner-ups. So, Jennifer Hudson the year after you went on to win an Oscar, Chris Daughtry a year after that, Adam Lambert,
Jennifer Hudson and Chris Daughtry came in 6th and 5th, respectively. So it doesn't. So being even, you don't have to be a runner-up on that show to be to have. You have to be able and willing to work. Ruben and I got what we got because of the show, and we're fortunate to have had the platform. But both of us have had to really work very hard in order to maintain it, to still be doing this 20 years later. So Jennifer Hudson and Chris Daughtry had to work, and they did. Kelly Pickler went to work. She had a talk show for a while. I mean, you really have to put in the work. And so, there's definitely Idol certainly gave people a platform, but you had to you could make of it only what you were willing to put in the work for.
Yeah. And Ruben, do you the other side of that, I hate to say winners and losers. There's no losers. You both won. But Ruben, the champion that year, do you have, I'm sure you get called to do things where they just call the winners as a group to come back or whatever. So do you have a special kinship with Kelly Clarkson? And gosh, Fantasia's in The Color Purple this year, and Carrie Underwood, the biggest country star for a while there. Taylor Hicks joined us.
The last time all of the winners were together was about 9 years ago when ABC took over American Idol, and we did a thing at Disney. And that was the first time that I had been in the room with everybody that had won the show ever. All of us, of course separately, but everybody from every season together that never happens, right?
They don't have a room big enough to do that anymore. There are too many winners.
Right. But it was cool. I mean, it was cool.
That's cool. Yeah. And actually, speaking of winners, tonight, on this day of recording, Jordan Sparks is coming to the Kennedy Center for an MLK Day tribute recording. So the American Idol winners and other contestants, finalists like yourself, Clay, they're all over the place doing stuff all the time. It's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking so much time with us today. Before we run, tease what else we got coming up next. Are there, I want to give you all a platform to plug after this 20th anniversary tour wraps. Is there a new album or anything? Any new singles? What should we tease?
Yeah, my new album is out now. It's called The Way I Remember It. It's everywhere. So if you want to, tease it, you could do that. Appreciate it.
And Clay?
No new albums for me. Ruben's gotten me. I stopped performing and stopped recording over a decade ago. Stopped performing and touring over a decade ago too. The only person I've gotten back on stage with since 2012 has been Ruben. So Ruben and Clay will do something together again. I have no doubt. But we will have done by the time this tour is over 82 cities. It's been a very long tour. It's been a very rewarding one. And I am just fortunate that I have a teenager who I don't have to chase around the house. Ruben will be going back to a 3-year-old who's going to keep him exhausted. I get to go home and take a nap.
A little more relaxation time. That's great. Hey, also final second, something else just popped in my head. I would love to know which performer, either before or after you, because you could say Kelly Clarkson if you want, but was there an Idol performance that, and you can't say yourselves, that blew you away? People like do their rankings of their favorite Idol performances, but was there Adam Lambert singing Mad?
Nah, I'm gonna go with Fantasia's rendition of Summertime. She killed that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not going to choose that. It was in my top 2 for sure. So since you did that, Carrie Underwood's Alone, when she came out with her hair all permed up and she sang the living out of that song, that was phenomenal. A big one for me. I didn't at some point after season 4 and 5, it starts becoming it's like going to high school football games. I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't graduated from high school, but I don't go back to all the football games. So there were a few years where I missed them. So
yeah, you can't go back to every game. You pick a homecoming every 10 years or something.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate you joining us again, everyone. It is at the Bethesda Theater in Bethesda, Maryland, right over the line from the nation's capital. It's going to be on Monday, January 22nd. So get your tickets now. Hey, thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.